Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Sosbans and Sidesteps podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, the one and only Mr. Global Gain Line. How are we, sir?
Hello. Gosh, what an enthusiastic start to a podcast that's going to be very serious, very deeply serious. No new John this week, unfortunately. Some say he's driving, some say he's dead. Who knows? But between him and Pringle, who is out there somewhere, we will find you, Pringle. Um, it's just you and me again, Mark.
I know. I mean, I disappeared for a while. To be fair,
You did. You were skiving
I
for a bit.
yeah, I haven't listened either. So I'm quite guilty by this. So I don't know what you've been telling the people. So I'm gonna have to just save face by you and say I got kids. Things happen.
No, convenient, convenient.
Convenient. You got to use them for something. I mean, come on. Well, it's been as always. This is our first one back since
Yeah,
Christmas, isn't it? So,
it is.
yay. Merry Christmas. Nadolig Llawen, Blwyddyn Hapus Newydd, blah, blah, blah. Yay. So, how long was it? We got something like 15 hours undefeated in this year. So, we're bad. We're a bad start.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a bit longer. Maybe like 15 hours and 2 minutes. That might have been right.
It was
Yeah.
going great for some time and then wasn't again.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're now on to the disaster that we saw on New Year's Day.
It's a shame there's no new John here. He could have told us about his day out at
I
Rodney
know.
Parade.
Could have had something positive to talk about. But yeah, we don't. So now I'm sad.
We very much do not have anything positive to talk about on this show, no.
I mean, we did just say there was one positive. It was one pass that was really, really
There was
good.
one really cool pass near the end. Yes.
Really, really good. I'd like to see more of that. We'll come on to
Yeah.
that a bit. But yeah, I mean, after that, what was it? So I think obviously we didn't cover the game on Boxing Day. I can't even remember why that didn't happen, but who cares now? But they both started the same. Nice bit of early pressure, disallowed try. I'm calling Ellis's try disallowed because
Did we ever disallowed try?
yeah, ball, and then Ellis on this weekend forward pass. He was over the line.
I don't remember that at all. I have no memory of
Like
that
literally
whatsoever.
the first or second minute of the game, unless I'm completely
I
making
might have
something up
missed
here.
that. I might have missed it. I've got no memory of that at all.
Oh, great! This is a perfect start to this. So yeah, just I don't know. I really don't know what the hell's going on. Oh, and it
Where does
hurt.
that Dragons performance rank in the bad performances that we've spoken about on this podcast? I don't think it's quite Black Lion loss bad. I don't think it's the losses to the Bulls and the Stormers in the first couple of rounds 2 seasons ago were really bad. I think this has got to be it's got to be top five.
I mean, I put this as worse than the South Africa tour. I really do, just because we were clear. If this was against one of those South African teams, it would have been triple figures. You know, this is how shockingly bad we were, and it hurts so much. I'll be honest. I can't believe
This
how
one
many
didn't
bad games
hurt
there's
for me
been.
as much as the Boxing Day one hurt way more for me than this one. Shout out to all the Ospreys fans tuning in.
Yeah, Boxing Day obviously hurt because obviously New John's not here, so I got no one to back me up here. But I was having a proper moan at him after the Cardiff win because I thought we played like shit day as well, because I was like we did nothing. We literally just let
We
them
did
have
not
the
play a
ball.
single minute of footy in that Cardiff game. No, that's not
No,
true. We did play a little bit. For Eddie James's try, we did have one good attack. The rest of it was just cowdoll bullshit.
yeah, but that's what I mean. I was so pissed off, and I was like, this is not the Scarlet way. This isn't what we're used to. Like that Glasgow performance, yes, it was more defensive than anything, but that gave us some hope moving forward. Bristol, I'll whinge at that another time.
Bristol was arguably our best performance this season.
Attack was shit.
We had two disallowed tries. Sam Costello with, kicking off either foot or either wing. That was good.
Yeah, nah. Still back. Glasgow's the best one of the season so far. Then again, my memory's not great. I'll actually no. I'll go for Connacht away has been our best performance of the season so far. But oh, I'm just lost for
What was
words.
worse, the first half or the second half?
I've blanked a lot of it out. So
Because the
I
first
think
half, it was
first.
only 7-5, but we had so much ball and so much territory. The Dragons just said, look, here's the ball, lads. Here's our half. Welcome. Christmas is a time for giving. Our house is your house. And let us have the ball. And we did nothing with it. Two of the worst attacking sets I've ever seen in my life from any team. And then one was ended with a Joe Hawkins kick where I can see what he thought he was trying to do, but he didn't do it. And then one was ended by a Gareth Davis kick where I have no idea what he thought he was trying to do, and he didn't do anything.
I mean, this was more or less an opposite performance of that Cardiff win because we went without the ball and just took our chances when we had them. Even though I'm mourning another time, mourning aside about other games, it was just we had the ball and we did nothing, and it wasn't as if the Dragons' defense was great. It
No,
was good. It was a good
it was all
defense,
right.
but we offered nothing. It was so it's heartbreaking. It really is. And I know me and you differ by year in terms of, you obviously, you result is first and foremost in your mind, but performance is for me. I'll
Performance is
happily put you in.
important for me. I'm not saying the result is let's just be brutally honest about it. If we win, we're happy. If we lose, we're not. That's how it works as fans. But the style of rugby is important. I'm not saying it's not important.
No,
I've
I
got some
wouldn't,
stats on that later.
weren't trying to put you in that corner. Okay, maybe it was. But, there's something about being a Turk, a Scarlet, Connectly, whatever you want to call yourself. You that flair, that style of rugby, that is in you. That is what you want to see. You're there to be entertained, and yes, it is professional sport, and wins do matter. But at the same time, I think rugby is kind of unique in the fact that the where we finish in the league, generally the money doesn't change, so there's no real financial incentive. Obviously, if you go into the playoffs and
You
stuff,
get yeah, if
there's
you've got a
winners'
home
money.
playoff, you obviously get the gate receipts for that and stuff, and get more
But
money if you play more games. Same in Europe of more games, more money. But other than that, no. I think the prize money is not really worth talking about in any rugby competition, to be honest. I think even in the World Cup it doesn't break the millions if you win the
yeah,
World Cup.
exactly. So entertaining the people you've got, you're entertaining your fans, putting on a great product, as for me, got to be your top priority. Because if you're playing a great brand of rugby, even if you're losing, you're entertaining people. People want to come back and watch it. You know, if you're playing, let's use that Boxing Day, you're playing rugby like that, you've got what, 12,000 people there. I can't remember what the actual attendance
Yeah,
was.
12,100.
You go, that's what our usual is. Bouncing around 6, 7.5, 9. I think Munster
Around
was.
7 is our average. 6.5, 7.
So there we go. We got say 4, 5,000 extra people coming. I know Boxing Day does that because people are not working, etc. Some family and all that. But how many of them are going to come back after watching that? This is what we need to focus on: is putting on a good product, making the match day experience on the field as good as it is, as good as it can be off the field. I know we got work to do on both parts, but the on the field is the one that we can fix a lot sooner than you
The
can do anything else.
the frustrating thing though, Martin, how many times have we said this on this podcast? That we've seen these players under these coaches play nice rugby before, and then every time like we have a break, every time that they just have 2 weeks in camp just to think, they just forget what they did that was good before. Like all the things that were good about us last season, are any of them present this season? Pretty much the same squad, all the same coaches.
I mean, the best aspect of last season for me, and yes, I scored some lovely tries off first phase, and that was a big emphasis of it. But it was our defense and that grittiness and what we showed there. You know, is obviously that I think that was the best season defensively we've had under Peel. I know that
Well,
without a shadow of a
we
doubt.
didn't score crazy amount of tries, but we had a points difference that was well in the positive.
Yeah, exactly. So I think our average was something like 21 points conceded a game, somewhere around that number. When we going back to our championship winning years, 16 to 18, whatever years on there, that was around I think 17, 18 points. And obviously you gotta have a little bit of a pinch of salt with it because the difficulty in teams has increased.
Yeah.
When you're adding three big South African teams, and then you're not playing the likes of Zebra twice, Benetton twice. When obviously I know
Southern
Benetton have
Kings.
improved. Yeah, exactly. So standard of opposition has improved. So if you're going from 18 to 21 points, that's not bad. I that was really that was something I was really impressed with last season, and we saw it in bits and patches. I think the Lions and Sharks game, I think that's when I started thinking, okay, now our season started because we
Yeah.
didn't have a preseason. We
Yeah.
really didn't, and we'll probably come on to that in a bit. But that was when we started. Obviously, the Harlequins game is a write off because it's a friendly, as a proper friendly, and very happy that we played that game. But then we showed what we can do on that defensive side against Glasgow, and to just not back it up into these derbies, screaming like you made the point. One of the messages it's as if Jared Payne has gone back to doing the attack, and no one is looking after the defense again.
Yeah. I'm still not happy with that whole situation. We'll talk about the coaches a bit later on. Um, yeah, this game was like the Ospreys game, I was more upset, I was more sad, whereas the Dragons game was more angry. I was more annoyed. And I think it sums it up that we conceded. Dragons scored their third try on the 48th minute. And once it got to 21-5, I was like, we ain't winning. This Scarlets team are not scoring four tries in one half of rugby, even in half an hour of rugby. It's not happening. This current Scarlets team this season that I've watched. And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is just a case of how bad it's going to get. And do you know what it is, Matt? I think the players thought that as well. Because from that point on, the players just started chucking it about. You could see them clearly just go, well, the plan hasn't worked. So let's just duet. And that didn't work either. But it didn't work any particularly less well than whatever the heck the plan was. And like, right at the end, I want to get your thoughts on this. Right at the end, when we were behind our own goal line, and we end up, Archie stands up a couple of boys and we make a line break, get to halfway. Yeah, we end up knocking it on. And yeah, the game's gone. And, this, that, and the other. But it kind of shows that, like, the players can do it. They're just not.
It's hard. Like I think we're just going to come back to these same few words and sentiments repeatedly in this podcast. So sorry if we're boring anyone out there, but I'm sure you feel exactly the same. We know what these boys are capable of. We really really do. We've seen them do those first phase strike moves. We've seen them in open play and transition. We've seen some amazing rugby and amazing tries. Like Dwayne Peels saying, yeah, okay, it hasn't been great, but we've had fits and patches where we've played some absolutely stunning rugby. So it is in these boys to do it. So why it's not coming out, that is obviously the
They don't
major
seem
question.
happy. They don't seem happy to me.
They looked absolutely miserable. And I don't know what has happened, but I think it was someone put a photo in our group of Josh McLeod catching the ball, and it wasn't even edited, and you can just see he just looks nothing on his
It was
face.
literally like, the cartoon of like the dog with the big droopy face. That's what he looked like with the ball in his hands. Like, oh, I'm
Oh,
gonna run at that guy now.
here we go. I would imagine, if it was Tane last season when Sammy gave him the ball and said, it was the 80th minute, truck it up. If it was that moment in time, I could understand that face. But something's not fitting right. I know we've had problems in camp before. It's been a while since we've had problems, but something's not sitting right. And there was one moment in this game pretty early on that I got really pissed off with, and I think a few of us were annoyed with at the time. It was Joe Hawkins passing the ball into Tommy Rog and then having a go at Tommy Rog. And it's like, it was at that moment I was just like, I know I messaged in there and I was screaming, get him off the pitch. First off, you're 10. You were the one that controls where the ball goes. If you were running within, you've got a man running a dummy line and you can't see him, I don't know what you're doing. And because the fact is, he's obviously seen him. You have to have seen him in his peripheries, and he decides whether or not to pull the trigger on that pass. And he's just thrown it straight at him. Tommy Rudge didn't slow down. He didn't speed up. He didn't do anything. Like, don't get me wrong. If our dummy runners had been trained, coached to, actually be, an actual option, then, maybe a flat pass into him would have created a line break or at least, get over the gain line. But I haven't seen players react like that. Our players react like that in a long time. And that was so early on in the game. And like really set the tone as if shit, they're not happy. I like obviously Joe is a new boy this season. I I don't want to say it's he's come in, it's his attitude or whatever, because obviously we don't know anything about him from that standard. But something is just not right there. To have that sort of reaction that early on, you've been triggered by something, and everyone was the same.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Just focusing on like the selection for this game, mostly okay. I mean, I need to remind myself of the team. The one that
Yeah,
was weird to me, and we need to be careful because we don't hammer players on this pod. We don't say, oh, this
no,
guy needs to go or whatever. But the one that kind of didn't make sense based on what we've seen this season so far was Johan Nicholas at fullback.
yeah,
I don't like when if there's one position where the Scarlets are absolutely stacked, it's fullback. We've got like 8 players who can play there,
so
and
good.
the what's Jack Davis done wrong? He was starting Champions Cup matches a couple of weeks ago. Now he's back down playing for Carmarthen or Drovers.
Well,
Sorry,
let's get it right.
sorry. I don't get that selection.
Yeah, that I think that stood out to everybody. I mean, a lot of people have opinions on players, and I know a lot of opinions when it comes to Johan Nicholas. Is that he's a squad player at best. A lot of people say he should be playing SRC. I honestly, if he went back to SRC, he would be a standard above. Not if people would believe me on that, but when you watch it regularly and you see it, you know a player's ability, you know what they can do. He's not a first 23 player. We know that he is. That's what. But if we look in the context of players available around there, you know, was it Ellis started 15 the week before?
Yeah,
You know, obviously I know that Johnny Williams was out, so the centre pairing had to change. Joe Roberts had to come in. But what was the issue with putting Max Page on the wing? Well, what was the issue with bringing Jack Davis in? What was the issue with bringing Yori Badham in? Because
Tommy
Yori had an
Lewis.
Tommy Lewis. I forgot about Tommy Lewis. Bloody hell! You see, these are the players, and you're talking a pecking order. You know, I put Yoan and Yori more or less similar, and only because Yori's so inexperienced. This is where we are. We got so many players, so many options that we had before. Putting in. And Yoan has been a tremendous servant to the club. I mean, over 10 years now, I think. So he's been brilliant for the club. But in terms of getting into that first 15, 23, you know your own ability. I mean, I think there comes a point where you have to say, when you're not playing that, when the team is not playing that well, and you're like, we really need a win, we really need a performance, boys have got to be able to step up and go, look, I don't think I'm the best fit for this. I think we'd be better off here. When you're in that, and if you're in that mental state as well, you're not going to perform either. So if fans are saying it, it's going to get back. Cause I don't think I've heard any fans say that they think Johan Nicholas should have been 15. If he was on the bench, absolutely fine. I got no issue with that whatsoever because he does cover a lot of positions. But I haven't heard anyone saying they agreed with that decision. So, that's obviously going to filter back, and it's not the first time this has happened. So it's going to filter through to him somewhere
Mm,
along the lines, which obviously is not going to do great for confidence. So it's a hard way. You should stuck between a rock and a hard place, really. What do
yeah.
you do?
So right,
So
let's talk about it as kind of a whole then. We talked about that game. Let's just talk about the situation at the whole. So I did a bit of looking at the stats for the Scarlets so far this season, and I made a few notes. So grab a cup of tea, everybody. So you
let's
talked
see.
about the defense there, Mark. The defense statistically is all right. It's not as good as last season, you rightly say, but it's not by club standard. And I know we've just conceded 4 tries in back-to-back games against Welsh regional rivals, which sucks. But then again, if you look at some of the score lines that we're seeing in the Premiership or the top 14 at the moment, there's some clubs there who would give the right arm to only concede 4 tries in a game. So it's not the end of the world. So in our 8 games played so far, we've got 27 tries conceded. So there's 8 teams who are worse than us in terms of defense, in terms of points and tries conceded so far this season. We're top half of the table when it comes to gain line denial, as in stopping teams on the gain line. Cover tackles, we're in the top half as well. We're third bottom for dominant hits, but that's because we're a team that likes to jackal. That's a team that likes to target the ball at the turnover, led by, of course, Josh McLeod, who is joint top for turnovers won in the Champions Cup this season. And also, Marnus van der Merwe is another big jackal one. So we've got the fewest rucks per jackal, or to put it another way, we let the opposition go through this fewest number of rucks against without attempting jackal turnover. Could you look less bored while I'm telling you this, please?
Oh no, I'm looking like I've got some defensive stats up. I mean, like
Okay.
our average. So I'm just looking at them comparing over the seasons. That's
Okay.
all.
So
I'm
so
very interested in what you're saying.
so the
Josh,
defense
Josh
is
McLeod turns over. Yay!
the defense isn't brilliant, but it's not the worst thing about us. The scrum success is ranked 10th in the league, which isn't amazing, but it's not a disaster either. Our line out is 8th. It was one of the best last season, so it's not as good as last season, but it's impacted by like Henry
Fafita.
Thomas was carrying an injury at the start of the season and things. So it's not panic stations. It's not great. It's not panic stations. The Maul as well. It's not amazing, but it's not a disaster either. Obviously, discipline is something that gets brought up a lot when we talk about the Scarlets. We're the second most penalised team in the URC. We've got 9 yellow cards so far in 8 games. I'll come back to we'll save the discipline discussion. I'm going to come back to that. But as you rightly started this whole section with, Mark, the attack is the real problem. The attack is the real problem. So if I talk about, our shape as a team, we've got the highest percentage of our like movements is less than 10 meters in the URC. So what that means is from one ruck to the next, the chances of that ruck being within 10 meters laterally, I'm not talking forwards, I'm talking side to side, the width of our play, we are the narrowest team in the URC.
One up carries.
One up carries. 62% of our rucks are within 10 meters side to side of the ruck that preceded it, which is the most of anybody. And we have the slowest ruck speed of any team in the world. In the world, 45% of our rucks are less than 3 seconds, which is the least of any team, club side in the world at the moment. And those stats lead to the following. So we have the lowest dominance carries in the URC. We're the only side in the world with less than 50% gain line success. 47% we have. We are the most double tackled team in the world. So I think Henry Thomas is the most double tackled player in the world. Like 89% of the times that Henry Thomas carries the ball, he gets a double shot on him. And that's what it is for the majority of our carries because we're so predictable, because we're so narrow. Teams just line up on the next player out and double hit them, which is what is contributing to that horrendous gain line success. We've got the third worst offload success in the URC. 13% of our possession, only 13% of our possession lasts over 5 phases. That's important when I come back to a try scoring stat in a minute. Now, 50% of our possessions, 50% of the time that we have the ball and we go through a couple of phases, it ends in a kick, right? So 50% of the time that we have the ball, we kick it away. But we have the second lowest kicks contested in the URC. Second lowest. So 50% of the time that we have the ball, we kick it. Gareth Davis is the top kicker in the URC with 77 so far this season. He's not even played as many games as he did last season. He's kicked the ball 10% more than any other player in the league. But we are the second lowest for kicks contested. And I don't know about you, Mark. I've started noticing this now. Like when we do a box kick, players like Tommy Rog and stuff, they literally just they look like they want to turn around and kick the advertising hoardings because they don't know where the kick is going. They don't know who's chasing it. The only thing they do know is no one's getting it, and they look annoyed whenever a box kick goes up.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be our only game plan at the minute. Just go a phase or two. Oh, we're not going forward. Well, no wonder you're only passing it 2 meters out from you. And they go, okay, we'll box kick it. Someone chase. Like that is something that we were brilliant on again last season. Tommy Rod retaining kicks for fun. Ellis Me was in there as well, attacking kicks. I need to make a point over there, Ellis, because I know we had some issues there with him last season. Hard struggle is what's going on. Okay, I know after the Cardiff performance, Albert van der Berg got Cowdo, he's like a fine wine, he gets better with age. And there are aspects of his game that has gotten better with age. And there's aspects of his game that have never been a 9 or a 10 out of 10, and that is his box kicking. There's always been something amiss, whether it was the length, whether it was to touch, whatever it may be. His box kicking you can never really say he's one game, whether it was 30 minutes or 60 minutes, his kicks were pucker all day, and we're still in that position. And when that is our only attacking plan, it makes you want to pluck your own eyes out.
if I go on, so I said that we only 13% of our possessions last over 5 phases. We are the second for the amount of ball that we need per try. Now that's affected by how many tries we score, which we'll come into in a second. But we take the second longest to score of anyone in the league, only behind Benetton. The most amount that we need to have the ball to get over the try line. We have the fewest tries in the league. We are the only team in the URC not to have registered a try bonus point so far this season. Everybody else has got at least 2. We have the fewest tries in the first half. We barely score at all in the first half. We have the lowest percentage of set pieces within 10 meters of the opposition try line, resulting in a try. So when we do get in a good position, we don't turn it into tries. And according to the URC database, we have the worst attack in the league, which I think is backed up by everything else that I've already said.
Yeah. I just don't want to talk about it. It's just that bad. I mean, it's not even a case of
what
we're playing poor. Because obviously there's been plenty of times over the last couple of years where we've played poor, but we're still able to talk about it. We're still able to pick out, we need to do this. But it's a recurring theme, and it's something that I'm done with at this point.
Why are we? Sorry, go on.
No, crack on, but
Why are we doing this pick and go strategy? Why is that our plan all of a sudden? We didn't do it last year. Why are we doing it now? And who's looked at our squad and gone, pick and goes, boys? I reckon 1-up runners, pick and go from the ruck. That's how we're going to get across the try line. That's what our squad is built for. Who's thinking that? Whose idea is this?
There's only one new coach that has come in, and that's someone who's working on the contact area, and that's Bradley Davis. So I'm going to pass the buck to you, Bradley. Have you said we need to do a lot more 1-up runners? Because don't get me wrong, there is a place for pick and goes, and it's gonna have to happen in a game. You're not going to play a whole game and not do a good few pick and goes, especially when you're getting close to the try line, or you're defending, going for exits, whatever it may be. So they do have their place, and they can be useful in attack. If you make a line break, little tackle, You got the option to seal off, or there's no one there. Do you pick and go, or do you seal off? You know what I mean? It's those sort of options you need to pick up. But when you're just doing it and you're going nowhere, and it's let's go again, let's go again, let's go again. There's one
Kick
thing
the
about
ball.
being
Oh, we've lost it.
yeah. There's one thing about being repetitive. You can be repetitive, but you have to be good at what you do. And we simply are not good at really anything right
Why
now.
are we not creating situations like there was times in the second half when we were just dueing where Eddie James has a couple of out the back door offloads. Now one of them did bounce on the ground and roll away. But why are we when we've got what's the Scarlet's strength? What has always been the Scarlet's strength? The backs. When you say what's the Scarlet's way of playing? Getting it in the ball, getting the ball in the hands of the backs. Dwayne Peel played in the Scarlets team with like the likes of Regan King and whoever else, in that back line. And it's like, why are we not creating situations to get our best players? Every time, even against the Dragons, every time that the ball eventually found its way to Eddie James, he did something good with it. He looked good with it. The ball had an extra zip on it when he passed it. Why are we not getting the ball in his hands as much as possible? Why are we not getting the ball in Joe Roberts' hands as much as possible? Ellis Mee, we've criticised a little bit at the beginning of this season.
Awesome.
Last two games have been his best two performances of this season. He's been by far the Scarlet's best player in the last two games. Why aren't we doing that? Where is our talent? Where is our point of difference compared to the Dragons? The Dragons' backline is okay at best. Our backline is better than theirs in terms of personnel. Why are we not exploiting that? Why are we not coming up with repeatable shapes, patterns, plans to get some deception, to get some one-on-ones with our backs, and they can take them? These players have got the skills, they're just not doing it. And it's like we talk about the 10 situation. And it's boring at this point if I say in that first half, with the amount of territory, with the amount of possession that we had, if Sam Costello's on the pitch, we scored 2 tries, which I fully believe. But
Okay.
at this point, it's like, does Joe Hawkins just not know the calls? Does he just not know the shapes? Has no one told him? He's been here for 6 months. Just no one's told him what the calls are. Is that it? Like, what's going on?
It's so weird and so frustrating. Now I'm trying to have a quick look at what games Joe Hawkins, I've got to make sure that, has started at 10. He started these last 4 games, which, okay, Bordeaux weren't too bad, but, those 3 games were our
Three
worst,
pick and go tries.
yeah, our worst attacking performances. And the other game he started at 10, we got nilled at home by the Stormers, you know, and, so I think it's like 68 minutes, Carwyn Leggett Jones come on, 18-year-old kid, 3 senior men's rugby. He's started 3 times for Quins, 2 or 3 bench appearances. That's all he's had of senior men's rugby. He comes on and he's trying something, and he's moving, he's getting in position, he's trying to do things, and that beautiful no look pass, it made, we crossed the gain line with that. That was absolutely sublime from him, and we perfect. Love to see more of that. But why is a kid? Because he is a kid. He's an 18-year-old kid that's barely played any senior men rugby, barely played any semi-pro
He literally
rugby.
played for his college last month.
Yeah, he was playing 18s rugby. This is the standard, and he comes on and he's moving around and he's playing like an actual 10. Now, I know I've said this to you boys, and I might have even said it on the pod, but Joe Hawkins is just a 12 wearing the number 10 shirt, and that's what it feels like when he is playing. We just we don't have a 10 with him there. And honestly, last season, when we signed him, yay, we signed, we bring in a talent back. Well, obviously, a lot of us were questioning, he's coming as a 10. Why are we doing another Project 10? We know this doesn't work. And we're just stuck in the same position now where we've got an 18-year-old in Carwyn Leggett Jones coming on, playing better. And then we've got Ellis Price, who has only just turned 20. He's getting minutes and also, making some dodgy clear outs. But, why are 10s making clear outs? I don't know why. So, how are we in this position where we got, academy 10s who are third and fourth choice? it just don't make sense. And one of them is playing better than one of our senior tens. It's is it's a clusterfuck. That's all I can think of that's going on in the place.
It, but like I said, they should be well drilled enough at this point that they could at least run the shapes. Like, who is Sam Costello the attack coach, or is Sam Costello, does he know all the plays and he hasn't told anybody else, and he only tells them when they're on the pitch and they're playing, and he's got a little notebook with all of the attack in it, and he doesn't show anybody? Is that
No,
what
no,
it is?
no. It's all written on his forearm.
Oh, it's all written on his forearm. Oh,
That's what it
okay.
is.
That's what it is. That's what it is. And they don't need. Turns out neither Dwayne Peel nor Jared Payne are in charge of the attack. Sam Costello is the attack coach.
Well, I mean, something that was intriguing in the Ospreys game was Josh McLeod up in the coach's box. That was something that caught my eye, and I was wondering what.
That's trendy now. They do that with senior leadership players. By the
Yeah,
way, on the subject of senior leadership in that Ospreys game, there was a point where I can't even, who was even starting. I think Ryan Elias was captain for the starting team. I think
thank you.
he went off. And then the referee at one point went, "Who's captain? Who's captain?" And you got Gareth Davis and Johnny Williams on the pitch. And the referee ends up talking to Tame Plumtree. What's going on there?
I don't know. Like I've got that team sheet by here, and I haven't got who's captain on it. So thank you for helping me with it. I didn't fancy looking back into any of that mess. But that just goes to show they should be. You need at least two leaders. A backs leader and a pack leader on that pitch at all times. And we've only got two genuine out and out leaders, and that is McLeod and Costello, and that is it. Costello, like obviously, I know Johnny Williams is well respected. He's wore the captain's armband, same as Cowdo, but they don't get the backline running. And I know, okay, you can say that is the job of a 10, but that's also the job of the leadership. You also go in, what's going on here? Come on, boys, heads up, let's figure this out. What's the issue? Let's go through it. And then exactly the same in the forwards. If that is where your defensive leadership is in that pack. You need someone to lead by example. Whether or not they're the quietest person on there and they just go out and they just put hits in, and that will galvanize you, or you're someone who's motivational in the way you speak. But you need multiple people in your squad to do that, and we've only got two total. It's this is another case of a failure in coaching management. You've built a squad that has no leaders. You've got some players who've been here a long time, so yes, they do deserve captaincy on that basis. But in terms of being an out and out leader on their own, there's we have no one outside of those two.
Yeah. So there you go. There's the rant. So let's just actually mention his name, Dwayne Peel. How many seasons has he been in charge now? 4.
This is his fourth year.
Now, last season was pretty much the only season since he's been in charge. There was one almost full good season where it wasn't like one disastrous half, one good half. We've had the disastrous half now. Well done, everybody. We're now going to be on the good half. So if we just rewind to when Dwayne Peel got the job, do you remember he was Ulster attack
Cardiff.
coach, and then he was supposed to go to Cardiff, and he was supposed to be like Di Young. He was supposed to be basically Matt Sherratt at Cardiff, under working for Di Young. And then the Scarlets went, "Oh no, 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 we'll have you, thanks very much." And he kind of went back on Cardiff and came and joined the Scarlets. And he went from being attack coach at Ulster to basically being the director of rugby at the Scarlets, where he was in charge, because he not only like became head coach, but he put together an entire coaching ticket, like obviously in charge of the recruitment, coaching every aspect of it, and doing goodness knows what else in the boardroom as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say there hasn't been personal challenge. I'd say personal, professional challenges for Peel. I've spoken with a few people. I'm thinking, would Peel have even wanted a head coach gig? If it wasn't us calling at that time.
Well, it's
And
his
I don't
dream
know,
job. He's basically just been offered his dream job out of the blue when he wasn't expecting it.
but you've also got to think of what makes it worse is I think it must have been at least a season we were banging on about how poor we had been then under Glenn Delaney, and we wanted rid of Glenn Delaney. He had like a 55% win record. Peel's on like 36, 37. It's that's mind boggling now. Coming in, there are challenges. He didn't have his original, coaching team with him. Obviously, he was a coach down for a little while, and then I think was it Babs came in first. We had Blackett for a short period of time. Then he managed to get Payne, Shane Carney, and Albert Vandenberg. Then there were issues there, and Babs was moved on, so we're down the coach again. We then restructured. Lee Jones came in. I don't know where Lee Jones
I
is.
was going to ask that. Where's Lee Jones right now? I haven't heard a peep out of him this season.
Like I can remember them doing that big, oh, we're having this reshuffle, we're shaping it on. Jonathan Daniels has been moving out of rugby into just general management of the club. I think Phil Morgan, I think he's with the WRU now, but he was moved on to something. And it was just it was a shuffle around. It was let's move some of the chess pieces over here. And they brought Lee Jones in, and I think he was responsible for the recovery and rehab equipment and stuff that we got
Culture he
involved
was
in.
supposed to be in charge of as well.
Yeah, and obviously that has paid dividends because our injury record has improved massively in the last couple of seasons, so that's great. But nothing else. We've seen nothing else. I know they said when he was
We
coming
were
in.
decent last season.
I'll get to that in a minute. So when he came in, we needed a director of rugby. We needed someone above Dwayne. We didn't need someone for him to bounce ideas off, chat with, whatever, be a friend. We needed someone above him to instruct him, and we didn't get that. So we basically just taken on another salary. And forgive me if I'm totally wrong with whatever Lee Jones's remit is, because I'm oblivious to this, but so are 99% of other fans, because we've had no communication. We don't know what he's doing there. We thought he was going to be helping with the coaches and the players, but we're all none the wiser. And I've had people say, is he even at the club? Is he even still here? So is it
That's genuinely what I'm wondering.
like
Like,
as far as I'm aware and what I've been told is yes, he is still here. I like people ask, is he part time then? I we us as the rugby public, we do not know. As Scarlets fans, we have no idea exactly what his remit is.
because I'm
You know,
thinking, because we've done, that a couple of journalists have done like embedded stuff with the Scarlets lately. I can't remember
no
seeing
one's
anything
done.
from him in any of them.
I mean, we could be wrong. We could be just slipping our minds, but no, I can't say that I've seen his name pop up in anything, because it was what the guy for Daily Mail is a Bywater.
Yeah, Alex
Was that?
Bywater.
There we go. So he done one. That was a nice read. If
Charlie
you
Felix done one.
Yeah, Telegraph.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got it right. Happy days. I know my posh paper writers. Not that I pay for them, but I forgot what it was now. Yes, it was. He could have been. He might have been the perfect role. He could be a brilliant director of rugby. Obviously he's done those sort of roles before, but he wasn't put in that position. You know, as far as I'm aware, he's someone sort of just to chat with more than anything, which is, mind boggling. And I would love for the Skulls to come out and, put me to shame by you and tell me I'm absolutely wrong. This is what he's doing. But, that's not going to happen for starters because, comms from the club at the minute haven't been great. I think we're still, what were we, season 4 of Peel? Didn't he have a 3-year extension a couple of years ago that we're still waiting for that to be announced?
We're still waiting for that to be announced.
No.
The thing with Peel now is he's just become a meme. Like, opposition fans, shout out to all those listening again, shows how rent free the Scarlets live in everybody else's head that screenshots of Dwayne Peel up in the coach's box looking sad are just on my timeline the whole week after we lose. Like, it's just Like seeing him up there, like on his own, no one around him, no one talking to him, just on his own, leaning against the wall with his hat, with like huge bags under his eyes and stuff. It's like, how does this end? We know when we picture like the resolution of this, how does this story end?
It doesn't end well now, and it makes it look. At the end of last season, we'd finally had a good season, a good long season, like you said earlier. We weren't shit off, good off, whatever way around it is. And if we had just started, even if it was just the performances, if the performances were there, we could be okay. We can't call Dwayne Peels successful because there's no way you can be successful with less than 50% win record. Because I don't believe it as a Scarlet. At the
There's,
Scarlet team, you
there's
can't
some
be.
fans who pipe off a coach who got 40% win record.
Yeah. So you can't call it, but if we'd started the season well with some performances, maybe turn these two games into wins, maybe improve a couple of performances, and you say, okay, Peel's been all right. It took him a while to build in. We had some really tough times, but he's figured it out, and now we're moving forward. Does he stay on longer? Ugh, we need mega improvement to warrant that. But we're going in the right direction, and that hasn't happened, and that hurts because we will always love Peel. He was always be a Scarlet legend. It's at this point now where I've got to say, I've got to be a true friend. I've got to stab you in the front. The time's up. There's too many reoccurring problems. Selection is a constant issue. Use of the bench is a constant issue. Game plan is a constant issue. And they all creep back up. And honestly, it wouldn't matter if we somehow flipped a switch and we went on and we won almost every other game to the end of the season, even if made the semi-final of the URC playoffs. It wouldn't matter because I can guarantee you within 4 months of next season, we'd be in the exact same position because these same things just constantly crop up. How can you go into a season with only 110? How can what was it last season? How can you go into a season with only one real nine? And then we can go
Four
back,
second rows, one of whom's a flanker.
yeah, and we can go back even further to 2024 when we knew that you know season was gone. That season was dead and buried really early on, like January. I think that season was dead. We knew Archie was going to be our second choice number 9. We knew that Sam O'Connor was going to be our third choice loose head. We know obviously the club knew they were bringing in Alec Hepburn at the time, but we didn't know. But these players were still going to be okay. These are now going to be first 23 regulars. We need to get these boys playing rugby, and know that it's not just those two. There was multitudes of them, and it just didn't happen. And then you can go on and you look at development of just individual players. You go back to 21-22, I think it was his first season, and Morgan Jones had an absolutely great season. And then he was just fobbed off, nothing. Same with Jack Price, had a really, really good season. And then just nothing. You know, when you're developing
No,
players, you need consistency.
you've got Max Page and Archie Hughes are falling into that category now. Not quite that same kind of thing, but these are two players who shone at Wales under 20s levels. And you think if your head coach is a Lions scrum half, he'd be able to develop a young under 20s scrum half who's been standout at Wales under 20s level, and he's still our third choice scrum half. He should be by now. He should be
Challenging Cowdo, at least.
challenging Cowdell. He should be. Max Page should be and it's hard. It's hard because in the positions that Max Page is playing in, we're stacked with talent, so it's harder for him. But
But
it shouldn't be just like a we'll see what happens, type thing.
so, even if we're talking about Max, if I'm going to try and find, I don't know if I put in the Dragons appearances in your. So, he's had 2 starts. this season. So how many games have we played?
He'd had more starts than that by this time last year, for
1, 2,
sure.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So of 10 games, he's had 2 starts. And you were telling me that you can't rotate players in. And remember, he wants to be a 13 that can play on the wing. So, if it's a case of, and no, what is it? So, those 2 starts have been on at 13, against Lions and against Glasgow. Our best performance. But then we've had Eddie James play 3 games, at 13. Now, I've no doubt that can become an option at some point. When having a player that is equally adept at 12 and 13, is worth more than their weight in gold. But why are we doing that now? Why would you try at this point, especially in, 2 of those games? One sec. Actually, no, all of those games. Johnny Williams was his 12, who we know can play 13. It's
I
baffling
actually think that
decisions.
EJ13 kind of worked, and so I can see it. I can see it going further, but it's
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 not the
difficult for
time.
Max Page because of who he's up against in his positions. But the kind of most damning thing for me is if you go back 2 seasons, who was our player of the season? Alex Craig. What was different about him? He was a new signing. Last season, full new front row. Did we sign a new second row last season? I'm not sure. Um,
I'd have to check. I can't remember.
a bunch of signings last season, and the squad takes a lift with a huge recruitment drive. Blair Murray, Tame Plumtree, that's those type of signings. This season, who's been our best players? Some people might argue Fletcher Anderson, new
He's
signing.
been he's been good. He has been good. I wouldn't say he's had a good month. I wouldn't say he's been, a best
The, the the
signing.
only the only players in the squad who've been here for a long time who haven't dipped or declined really are Josh McLeod and Sam Costello and Eddie James. And that you're talking in Eddie James, arguably the player with the highest ceiling of any young player in Wales. You're talking with Sam Costello, clearly Wales' best fly half. I'll fight anybody who says anything different. Um, that's the level that we're talking.
I mean, I'll be honest. I might have to. I know I'm going back. I might have to concede Fletcher now because I'm just looking out signings and we haven't been many. Jake Ball might be in that category.
Been all right.
He hasn't been
He's been good.
amazing.
He's been good.
He hasn't been amazing. He's been good. Played more games, so we'll go off that for now. Neck and neck with Fletch. But yeah, it seems that the longer players spend under this coaching ticket, the worse they get.
Who's getting better? Flip the question around. Who's getting better?
Okay. Can I include academy players?
What, you going to say Josh Morse?
He was awesome. He's been awesome this season. Not just for Scarlets, but for Drovers as
How
well.
much has he
His
been coached by
academy,
Dwayne Peels?
I wouldn't say much at all. Um, yeah, that's a problem.
Because this is the thing. If you're going to be the team that backs the youth and brings through academy and that incredible under-18s team, the coaches have to have a track record of bringing through players. And yes, we have had a lot of players debut for Wales. Eddie James, Joe Roberts, our entire back three.
Yeah, I've got another one who's probably improved, but again, Kemsley doesn't have much time with Dwayne either.
Kemsley has been good this season.
He's been really good since
He was good against the Dragons, actually. Him and Ellis Me were the two who were good.
Since the autumn internationals. He has been very, very good. And you know what? I'm thinking that for the type of person we've been told Kemsley is, he needs a bit of a kick up the arse apparently. So having someone like Josh Morse come up and go, I can carry now. I could always scrummage. I could always compete with you scrummaging wise, but now I can carry, and I think that might be a bit of a rocket up his arse. So, Again, could be a million miles off, but it sounds fun to say. So here we go. Yeah, I can. Okay, let's not look at the players who started. Let's have a look. So
Look, mate, I think the fact that you're having
oh,
to troll the squad by year kind of tells the story.
yeah, it does. Oh, I don't know. Oh no, he's no signing when he
Kirby Myhill.
Dredge in the but. Oh no, Alex Groves. He played a game, didn't he? Steve Cummins. They look good. They've improved.
Yeah,
Oh, that's what I mentioned. Harvey Cookson.
Harvey Coxon.
Um,
There you go.
yeah, he did all right. I mean,
He did all right.
bit
He get
harsh.
he got a yellow card.
It was
Did he get a
harsh.
yellow card against the Dragons? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
softest gosh darn yellow card you ever seen.
he took
Look,
the
it
player
didn't
off the
change the
ball, wasn't it?
result, but the referee had a poor game. Let's just call a spade a spade. But I think we've done that to death now at this point, mate.
Yeah, death is over. So fun time. Oh, oh my god, we've been here an hour already. Let me make sure it's on the right screen. Oh no, clicked the wrong thing. Bug it off.
Oh, just quickly,
Oh,
Bristol Thunder lost to Gwalior Lightning. I'm starting to get a bit fed up with the chat about Bristol Thunder. I'd like for us to win a game. I would
let's
like
be honest.
for
The only games Britain were had a chance of winning were against Glasgow, and that obviously has not happened.
why are
So
we so much worse than Gwalior though? Because
I
in the first season we were neck and neck. We haven't laid a finger on them
no,
since.
we were neck and neck.
We were. It was one each last in the first season. We were one each.
Performances, performances wise, Gwalior have always been better. I know we're only talking season three, but
When we had Shonard Harris and Alcal, we were good.
yeah, but come on, you got Shot at Harry's and Alcal. How can you not be good with them?
Oh, that
That's
reminds me.
that's.
Sorry, stop sharing your screen for a second. I want to ask you something.
Stop
That's
shaming.
reminded me of something.
Oh,
Right, the discipline thing. Right, is that a disease or is that a symptom of another disease?
can it be both?
Explain.
Well, when you got one illness, it leaves you open to others, doesn't it? So, can what could it be? Is confidence in the game plan? Is something wrong with the coach? Is you're not happy with what's going on in training? You know, so your morale is so low, you're not as switched on, which is why you're then making those extra errors. Because, like you said, 9 yellow cards in 8 games. I mean, honest to God, up until this season, I like even until probably a couple of months ago, I would defend Tane Plumtree with my heart, and we have because we went through the Tane Plumtree Defense League, but it's getting to the point of it's being indefensible. I don't know if it's a case of he doesn't have Via within this season, who he was basically a carbon copy of, to really be that guy to act.
I think what it is with Tane, and I think this is with a lot of our players as well. I think Josh, because Josh McLeod gives away a lot of penalties. People don't talk about it. But I think this is the case with a lot of our players, is that we have players in our squad who wants to impact the game and are proactive and say, I'm going to do something now that's going to impact the game. And when
Then
things are
no,
going badly, they get frustrated and, like you say, they lose their head a little bit, they make a bad decision. Because we've got that kind of players, and like other squads, you've got a squad full of players who are happy to do nothing, and then everyone says after the game, "Oh, they were solid, they were tidy, didn't make any mistakes because they didn't do anything during the game." Whereas we've got a squad full of players who say, "I'm going to do something," and because they're not happy, because things aren't working, it goes wrong.
fair, very, very fair. But boys, we know how great you can be. I mean, obviously, you
I've
were
because I've been asked this on a couple of podcasts this week. People going,
this
"Oh, is it?"
week. It's
Yeah,
Monday.
I know, but people going, "Oh, is it just the budget? You haven't got the squad." And I'm like, I don't know whether I'm just a one-eyed Turk. It's like, no, I genuinely don't believe that the squad is thin and it's got problem areas. But generally speaking, I don't think that the playing staff is the problem.
If you look on paper, our first 15 should be able to compete with almost anyone.
Should be the best in Wales.
Easily best in Wales. I'd say, can we say top four in the British Isles? I'd say our
No, I
first big
wouldn't say
game.
top four in the British Isles. No, but I love them. You know,
Boo, boo. Who is thinking with his brain, not his heart? And that's why he's not a real Scarlet. Okay, let me let me share that screen again. Okay, we're going into the community, and it's a bit of a tough start and probably a tough finish, but we'll get there. It's January, so games are going to get called off left, right, and centre. So start in the SRC. Obviously, we missed the last week, so we get to announce that Carmarthen Quins did a remarkable double over the Drovers. 22-12 win at Churchbank on Boxing Day. We had something to smile about on Boxing Day, if you don't mind, Carmarthen. But things got a bit of a stark reality. So this week, Quins did travel to Newport, a team they beat at home early in the season, 28-26. And despite taking a 7-0 lead, lost 33-7. Steph Thomas came out after the game, done a bit of an interview. He just didn't get going really in that game. It was just a hard one to take, where just nothing was going right. So tremendous season so far by Kamar. Based on last season with Kamar, and they'd already won more games. I believe we're on more points as well now. So all signs are pointing up, and we've got a few more wins left in us in the league season and on the playoffs. So it'll be great. Ben Williams, Rodri Lewis, Ellis Price, Gabe McDonald, and Yori Badham started. Sam Williams, Thomas Williams, and Callum Woolley were on the bench. Yes, we had two wingers on the bench, and they were only back cover. They was back covered in the starting 15, but wow. So on to then the televised game, which was Llandovery at home to Ebbw Vale. And if you can remember to the reverse fixture early in the season, Drovers were looking good in that game before a certain Corey Baldwin decided to get a red card by virtue of stamping on
oh
someone's
yeah, I
head.
remember that.
And it just all went to shit.
Blood everywhere.
But this game, it started all right. It weren't too bad, but I'm really not sure what I'm like. Ebbw have been awesome this season, and I've said to you off air, I've said to a few boys when we've spoken about it, I think they're peaking too soon. I think they're peaking now, and it's gonna come back to bite them. Whether or not that happens, we'll see in about 3-4 months' time. But in terms of the Drovers, so let's go through the boys we had playing. We had Will Evans, Dan Gemmon, Griff Watkins, and Jack Davis start. Harry Thomas, Tom Phillips, Gabe Hawley, and Dom Kossuth on the bench. Second game back for Dom Kossuth, maybe third. So good having him back regardless. But Drovers have rotated a lot more this season than they have in the previous. Obviously they had the 2 years where they won on the bounce last year, cup winners and semi-finalists. So it's been a big change to their system because they're not using, let's say, the same 30, 33 boys. They seem to have used about 45, or at least it feels like they've used a shit ton of boys this season. Guys having 1 or 2 games disappearing and whatnot. So it is interesting to see what's going to happen with the Drovers. I do think that we're going to get through this little cup gap that we have during the Six Nations, last 4 league games and into playoffs. I think Drovers are going to start, really thinking, okay, we need to peak now and go into the playoffs. I think that's when we're going to start seeing the real Drovers. They've given loads of boys experience, built up as many as they can, and then they're just going to go hell for leather in this last part. Which, if it works, it'll be a great plan. So no fixtures in the SRC now until the 24th, when the SRC Cup starts. There is a couple league fixtures that are being rearranged and played in there, but there's not a great deal. So it's mostly cup fixtures for, I think, 6-7 weeks. Down into the Premiership, only 1 game because the rest were postponed. Narberth going down 33-29 away to Bargoed. Decent result there, fair play. Llangennech and Wanderers games are both postponed this week. So Llangennech are hosting Bargoed. Connectly Wanderers going to Merthyr, and Narberth hosting Pontypridd. Now that is a nasty looking week for the West. I'm not gonna lie. Merthyr, Ponty, and Bargoed. That's harsh. So Championship West, Crimich 17-21 down against Kenvig Hill at the 60th minute, where the game was abandoned due to snow. Kenvig Hill have been awesome this year, and
It
I think
it
they
must
put
have
them
been
like
snowing a lot, abandoned due to snow.
at the 60th minute. You know, so
Is it
Kenvig
one of
Hill,
them? Is it
yeah,
is it one of them where if it gets to 60 minutes you can declare the result?
I think it's 64. I think it'll be on the WRU. I think you've got to play 80% of the game. It'll be on the
Right.
WRU whether or not
Must
to,
have been snowing a lot.
yeah. But no, Ken Vigil, I think they put like 60, 70 points on Crimich in the reverse fixture early in the season. It was a demolishing. So whether this was a combination of factors, such as the snow, who knows? But that's very, very respectable for Crimich. A nice little West Derby, Newcastle Emlyn going down 15-20 at home against Aberystwyth,
Hmm.
and Ammanford winning 33-10 away to Trebanos. Fixtures for this week: Aberystwyth at home to Trebanos, Ammanford at home to Dunvan, Crimich travel to Bonamine, and Newcastle Emlyn travelling to Gowerton. Down into one West, Tenby winning 21-5 away to Vellinville, Lampeter 43-17 winners away to Kidwelly, Buddy Port 21-15 winners away to Larne. It's all away. St. Clair's winning 24-19 away to Inarlive. Hendy Swansea Uplands was
Did Croydon beat
postponed.
Locker?
What was that?
Did Croydon beat Locker?
That's down in 2 West. Winning
Where
1
are we
West.
now? Oh, we're Division 1 West. It's because of this stupid layout of your spreadsheet.
I went through this with you pre-season. If you wanted me to change things, you could have changed it back then, but there was just too much rugby to get involved. So you've made your bed. You've made your bed. Okay, so fixtures this week. We got Port at home to an Alive, Lampard at home to Larne, Vellinwall travel to St. Clair's, Kidwelly travelling to Swansea Uplands, and Tenby hosting Hendy. Now we get to go
Is
to
there a
Two
name for the
West.
Tenby Hendy Derby? The MB Hendy. The
I'm just going to pretend I didn't hear that. Okay. More postponed games. Aberdeen, Ponta de Lice, Carmarthen Athletic away to Pencloud,
It is
and
cold, to be fair.
Whitland at home to Nagrad. Yeah, it's not great. So Fishguard 29-7 winners away to Betos, and to Christ winning 21-17 at home to Lacha. Well, hey to Christ, because who needs to make sure that's mentioned. Fixtures for this week, we got Fishguard at home to Whitland, Betos travelling to Lacha, Nankaredig at home to Pencloud, and to Christ travelling to Ponta de Lice. To West Central, no game for Bryn Aman this past weekend, but they are back in action against Morriston on Saturday. Division 3 West, Army United, Neyland, Narberth Athletic, Hughes, New Dock Stars, and Trimsara and Milford were all postponed. Couple more away victories. Llandilo 14-8 at Cardigan, and Tumble 18 points to 5 at Haverford West. Fixtures upcoming: Llandilo against Trimsaran, Milford against Narberth Athletic, Hughes New Dock Stars in action against Arman United, Neyland hosting Haverford West, and Cardigan travelling to Tumble. Down into 4 West A, Newcastle Emlyn Dreigiau 19-14 winners away to Pembroke Dock Harlequins, Ponteberem 55-10 winners away to Tyro Cymych, and Tenby Athletic winning 64-10 at home to Llanybydder. St David's Pembroke postponed. Fixtures on Saturday: Newcastle Emlyn Dreigiau at home to Tenby Athletic, Tyro Cymych travelling to Llangam, Llanybydder at home to St David's, and Ponteberem host Pembroke Dock Harlequins. 4 West B, people. 4 West B, the lowest division we got, and not a single postponement. Well done, well done. Llangadog 28-25 winners at Furness, Kevnathan 25-20 winners away to
Close games.
Llandibby, Pontiates 21-7 winners at Pantavannan,
No,
Pennebank 19-31 loss at home to Fall Bay, and Binya 35-7 win away to Tregaron. So many away wins. I mean, this has got to be some sort of record. There's loads of them. Fixtures on Saturday: Kev Nathan at home to Pennebank, Furness travel to Fall Bay, Llangadog host Pantavannan, Binya travel to Pontiates, and Tregaron host Llandibby. Into the women's section, and absolutely everything was postponed this week. Port, Bonamine in the Premiership, Harford West at Planted Vardra, Whitland hosting Gwynedd, Pembroke travelling to Morrison, Tumble at home to Croes, Lampeter's Cup fixture away to Anstey postponed. Newcastle Emlyn's bowl fixture at home to Pennygrove was postponed, but that is being replayed on Sunday the 11th. That is the only fixture currently, up on All's Wales Sport and all the personnel
Yeah, tell you what, Mark,
profiles.
I've been worried about Wales women the national team for a minute
A
since
minute.
we've been covering Bristol Thunder, and now since we started covering this season, I'm more worried because I don't see any structure to the Welsh women's game at all.
There is. There really isn't. I don't understand it. I really can't. I would have thought you'd give the women's side the same sort of treatment you would the men. Yes, you do have the caveat of there not being as many teams, but obviously, you're
It should
building
make it
on that.
easier.
It's. I mean, I'm going to stop sharing this for a minute, just because people need to see your lovely face again, and obviously this beautiful smile. You look at the scheduling of the season, and there's just random weeks without games, and then I know their structure is so it's like Premiership, Championship, and then you split into your little regional ones. But, I don't understand the thinking. You probably get like Llanelli district seconds, but the league's getting more structure going. It's terrible for them. Like, if someone's out there that can come and chirp up again, tell me I'm wrong. But from an outsider's perspective, looking at these fixtures, looking at the scheduling, yes, they say there's 4 weeks of fixtures, but it goes nowhere. I mean, it's January. End of December, January. This is the worst 6 to 8 weeks of the year for rugby fixtures. So many get postponed and cancelled every single year, and it pushes the season on. We know this, you know this, everybody knows this, apparently, except for the WIU, because they keep scheduling games. They put, like, if you go into the four West divisions where there was like 9 team leagues, like any with an odd number of team leagues, you go random weeks off just to balance it out, to sort of finish at a similar sort of time.
Yeah.
It just it don't make sense.
What I don't, yeah, everything you said is right, and we're now in the third season of covering Bristol Thunder, and it's like between
It's gone harder every year.
between the Celtic Challenge campaigns, what happens to these players? Some of them play for Wales, a small number of them do. Some of them go off and be squad players in the PWR again, don't get any game time. All the rest of them, where do they go? What rugby do they play?
I've honestly no idea anymore. There used to be a point where everyone was playing with their clubs, and then they like the men's amateur style. Then if you go back to your 80s and previous, you play for your club, and if you got called up to Wales, you'd go. That's at least that's my memory of it. But now it just I couldn't tell you. I mean, I can't even remember the last time the regions put out under 18s for females. Never mind an actual female senior squad. Now I know they've transitioned to like these PDCs, but they've gone from having 4 regions producing, coaching women, having them play games, to 3 PDCs. Going from 4 to 3. I wonder where they've got that idea somewhere else from, and it just doesn't seem to be working. I mean, it's a simple solution. At least I see a simple solution by year. Obviously, the Celtic Challenge starts in the December.
Yeah.
Don't understand why they can't just push it a week or so, because there are gap weeks in there. Why not just have the regions build up squads again? Have female squads. Have run the
That's what
local
the Irish
academy.
do, by the way. The Irish provinces have all got women's squad, and they've got All Ireland League underneath it. Now, I'm not saying we need to run before we can walk, but like, there's nothing in between Celtic Challenge campaigns. There's nothing.
You'd honestly think that you'd have, so if we say the Celtic Challenge. No, I can't say that. I'm trying to work it out with my mind is. So, start of the season, whatever point that is, you have your regions playing. The regions play. They play each other for God's sake, whatever. So that's at least
6 games.
six. That's at least 6. You can bump it up to 8 if you want to get RGC involved. So I'm pretty sure there's women up north who want to play as well. So you can
At
bump that
least
up.
23.
Yeah. So well, yeah, there's plenty of bloody women's teams in northern women's teams in the Premiership and Championship, etc. So why not have a nice 10 week, or 8 or 10 week, however long it's going to be, run of regional games. Then girls get selected to move up to Celtic Challenge. Do your Brithan, do your Gwalia. That's it.
Because the way the Bristol and Gwalia run at the moment, or at least they did run a couple of seasons ago, is they just open trials. Come on down.
Yeah. I think that's how it all started. Like, I don't see why they can't just have your one block with your regional where every player is available. Everyone is available. And then the better girls, the ones that go up to Britain and Gwalia, they go on. And then you just start that season again with the girls that are left and the ones that are coming through. You have another block like that for those girls. So then there's some continuity of fixtures for them. And then obviously the better girls then go to Wales and then they can drop down if there's any fixtures left. So at least you're talking, you're talking 16 games minimum. That I don't think that's enough. Personally, I'll be honest. I don't think the
Mark,
rugby we
it's
get
16
enough.
more than there is currently.
It honestly, it feels like over the past 10 years or so, especially in Wales, the less games, the better. Boys are playing less and less rugby at the professional level. I mean, you can go back to when was it Pro 12? So we had 22 games there. We also had 6 Heineken Cup. That's 28. We also had at least 4 Anglo Welsh. So we're talking 32 games as a minimum. That was our minimum. Now, what's our minimum now? 22 with 10 games less, and they're wondering why players aren't coming through the system. There's not enough opportunities for anyone to play rugby. We need to be playing more.
This is one of my hot takes about rugby is when people talk about game time and fewer games and stuff. I get it from the kind of players getting flogged point of view. Ty Burn played every game for us when he played for us. He played 22 games a season every season. And I never heard him complain. But that's a highly cancelable opinion. I get the kind of like, you need, player welfare and stuff. Okay, on an individual player point of view, but why are we penalising the whole system by just slashing the number of games? Nobody wants that. Fans don't want that. Fans want more games. The clubs want more games because it's more money.
And this is where I think I don't know how, but I think wages, especially over here on the British Isles, I'll have to say, wages have gone out of control because that amount of games has gone down a lot, but wages have only gone up. I mean, if you talk about money per game, I mean, Christ, it must be astronomical compared to 10 years ago. If you play an average season, because we're not talking saying, oh, you've got to play every game. If you look at a top international that's playing the 10, 11 international games, they could still be playing 20 games for their team as well. So they are playing the 30 games. So why aren't the boys below playing that? It's just it's mind boggling how it's all working. And they go, oh, please rotate. That's the thing. Squads, obviously your best 23 will win you a title.
Mark. Max Page has started 2 games this season. We're in January.
And this isn't even a case of just being on
Archie Hughes.
Pro Max. It's a case, it's so many boys. I mean, Jack Davis doesn't deserve to be on his 4th or 5th start in 3 since there's games where he absolutely destroys everything in front of him at the SRC level. He should not be playing down there consistently. And you can see how it messes players' minds up where they go, yes, I've had this opportunity. Yes, I've played well. I'm not coming back, am I? Oh, I gotta go back. Really? And then it mind boggles out and they start over. It's the point I was trying to make earlier with using Morgan Jones and Jack Price. those boys went backwards because they weren't played. And now, like you're saying, we've seen it with Archie. Like I will keep banging on last season why he was given a start at Gloucester. I will never understand that for his first start. Should have been the week before against Dragons. Should have been on bloody home soil. It really should have to go to an opposition like that. Oh, terrible. And like you said with Max, Tommy Rogers hasn't been fit every game. We've seen Jack Davis come in. We've seen Tommy Lewis has played a game. So you don't need to put. You need those. You need those 30 plus games in a season just so you can give boys at least 15, 16 starts.
And fans want it as well because fans, you can't have 11 home games in a 12-month year. It's not enough. You need to have every other week a game on so fans get in the habit of going down the park and watching. That's what fans want to do. That's what we
And
want.
it's not as though we're talking it needs to be every other week all year long. You know, September to bloody February, that's nothing. You know what I mean? We're talking 6 months, 6 months of back to back of games every week. Of every other down the park or that's how we'd average out. That's not a lot. That's really not. And then you can have your playoff games or whatever go on further. Like it's been a bugbear for me for years why we got rid of the Anglo Welsh or for whatever reason it happened, and why we never replaced it. I really don't understand now why we've allowed the EPCR to drop to 4 group games. The system makes no sense. We got right now. What we've got a 16 group. Okay, you're only playing 4 the opposition. Well, that makes bloody sense, doesn't it? I mean, it's laughable. It really is. They say, "Oh, what did they say about the old format? It was getting stagnant and No, you gotta make teams going for it. I love those double headers, the Christmas double headers. The mid-December back-to-back games. Absolutely loved them. There's nothing better. You get the draw or whatever in about July, August time. Here we go. If you were lucky enough to get a French team in that back to back in December, happy days. We got a French trip in December. I'm happy with that. That's lovely. Obviously, you done one in January, so you've enjoyed that. No, December. It was December. Damn, yeah. I'm messing up my years and months.
I'm trying to get to Northampton as well in a couple of weeks. Need to work on that.
That's only a stone's throw, isn't it?
It is. It is only a stone's throw. No, I've got no excuse, you might say.
You do have an excuse, like £1,000 a ticket, innit? Jesus.
I'm looking at going to Quinn Stormers this weekend, and it's not too bad. Petrol probably costs more to get there, to be honest. But anyway, so we're playing Pau this weekend.
Ooh, Pau. Now, hey, I know a player at Pau.
So do I.
No way.
I do indeed.
What player do you know?
His first name's Carwin.
Is his second name Tuipulotu?
It is.
No way! I know him too!
Anyway, so yeah, he's coming back. Now, despite everything that I've said, there is a realistic chance that we beat Pau.
Realistic. Pau do not want to be in this competition.
Honestly, if Pau are somehow winning this game by the 60th minute, they might intentionally take 3 players off and not replace them. They don't want to win this game. They're not interested. Right. No. So I can't remember what the score was against Bristol in their other pool game, but it was like deliberately lose by as much as possible. So Pau are flying high in the top 14. They're second in the league. Play some really sexy rugby. Great to watch. Missed a chance to go top. They could have gone top this weekend if they'd have beat Lyon, but they balls it up. But like we said, Mark, they don't want to be in this competition. They're not going to send a proper team to come and play against us. Come on, boys.
Is he fit? Is Carwin fit now? Because he was injured for a while, wasn't he? We'll have to double check. You double check.
They're not going to send a proper team apart from Carwin, who they'll send. Yeah. He'll be captain. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit of pressure, isn't it? I'm pretty sure they've got some old French guy that could be captain.
The last game that Carwin Tuipulotu played was Bristol away in the Champions Cup.
There we go. Happy days. So chances are he will be coming back. Yay, yay, yay.
Yeah.
And, we'll actually get to see a bit of what we missed because he should have a bit of a point to prove, even though he's going to be like, oh, can you take me off at
And
the
the
50th?
pressure's all on us.
Oh, yeah.
Because we got to perform in this game. Otherwise, oh dear, oh dear. I wouldn't want to be anybody.
100%. You're looking at the group table, this god awful format, and they've top two get what's it? They get a home round of 16 fixture, third and fourth get an away round of 16 fixture, fifth go for an away Challenge Cup round of 16 fixture. So no, there's no reason why we can't finish fourth. There's no way where we can't, just have that extra round of 16 fixture. Probably end up playing Bordeaux again, or whoever tops our group, whether that's Northampton or Bordeaux, who cares? But I'm kind of liking the idea. I've looked at the tables, I've looked at who's flying high, and I'm kind of liking, there's a chance. We beat Pau, and in whatever universe, because it's in Bordeaux, that Northampton beat Bordeaux out there. You know, Northampton will only need a bonus
Possible.
point. Northampton will only need a bonus point to secure first place. We might have already gone enough to secure fourth, but we might need a bonus point. So there's a chance we can go to Northampton and get a bonus point. That'd be nice, and then get fourth. And then we don't want to play Bordeaux again. And looking at the other fixtures, I think Glasgow is the only other team I think that could finish top because we'd be bottom seeds by far. We really would.
Yes, yeah, we would, Matt. Yes, we would. We bought some seeds by
But
far.
by far. So, and I think Glasgow and our group are going to be the top seeds. So I prefer Glasgow, seeing as though we would have played these two already. So fingers crossed for a round of 16 trip to Glasgow. That'd be nice, especially after we've beaten them
Well, so
already.
you can go and
Maybe
watch them. Oh,
don't say stuff like that. I would be there, but don't say stuff like that. That's not my only motive. But yeah, uh, always fun, and it'd be great. Why do you go quiet?
I think we could probably get away without editing that. Oh,
We can get. We'll
incidental music, incidental music, incident. Oh, he's back.
Oh my god! Can you believe that? Is okay. It's 9:30 real time where we are right now in the
I'd
past.
call it 25 to 10.
It's just gone 9:30, man. I'm not getting through those
Time difference
increments.
between you here in Scotland. Is it snowing where you are?
Of course it is. It's always
It's
snowing up
It's
here.
not snowing that much by you.
Honestly, I actually said this to Pringle, and yes,
Buck is in down where my mum and dad are.
Pringle is alive, and we do still speak to him. So I was saying to him, I was like, "Oh look, it's being up here, it's paying dividends. We got some nice regular snow." He's like, "Oh, I'm snowed in down here." Nah, 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 nah. I'm like, "Screw you! They take shit seriously up here. You will not find a gritter that's not also a plow, and they travel in herds. You won't see just one on the road. You'll see three or four following behind. They take this shit seriously." Honestly, we've had a few inches. It'd be enough to close schools back home in Wales. But Christ, they're on it.
I had
Road's
one.
perfect.
In case anybody, we're going to beat Poe. For anybody else who had this morning, my right front parking sensor was convinced that I was about to crash into a wall the whole drive to work, and it was beep the whole time.
Clean it.
But luckily, I work for an automotive company, and I asked one of the lads, "What do you reckon?" And he says what he reckons is water's gotten into the sensor and frozen and expanded, and that's deformed the sensor, which means that all the radar that's bouncing off it is going all over the gaff, and it now doesn't know which way's up anymore. And by the time I came to go home and the ice had melted, the problem went away.
Or it was just really, really dirty, and it thought you were going
It
to crash
wasn't.
into a pile of dirt.
I thought that. I got out and I wiped it.
Did you get back in after you wiped it, or did you
Yeah.
wait until later
No,
on?
no, no. I
And
got
that's
back
when
in.
it all fixed itself. No, I hate car sensors. Like, I'll be honest, I'm a bugger for when I'm in the missus' car. She's got the proper rear view. So you got the camera on there. I'm like, oh, I'll just slide in. I want to do that. And I drive this bloody huge Vivaro, so I can't look out the back anyway. So I either use my wing mirrors or I use parking sensors for it. So I've become a bit of a snob when it comes to parking and
Oh,
those sensors now.
rear view camera or nothing.
Basically, yeah. And I'll just wing it otherwise.
Mm.
Literally wing mirror. Oh god, this is how sad this has gone on to.
Yeah, and congratulations to anyone who got to the end.
Oh yeah, like, share, subscribe, do your
I
thing. Bye.
intend on if Scarlets continue being bad, I intend on continuing insulting other fan bases to make myself feel better about it.
Insulting other there's other fan bases. Did not know that.
If you look hard enough, and you do have to look hard, but they're there.
Probably over
Um,
the bridge, aren't I?
but that's the thing about being the Scarlets is we don't do apathy, we don't do feeling sorry for ourselves. We we take action,
Yes, we write meaningful letters and we say, do better.
and we turn up at supporters' evenings, and we ask some very uncomfortable questions to their face.
Yes. Yes, we do. Okay, on that note, are we done?
Yeah.
Just a yeah. Okay, we're done. Thank you for listening. This has been a joy for the last God knows how long of my life that I'm never getting back. And neither are you, by the way. You just spent 90 odd minutes or however long this pod has turned out to be listening to this absolute bullshit. So please like, share, subscribe, hype, comment, any sort of interaction. Tell me I'm wrong. Call me a dick. Call Huw a dick. He's wearing a Newcastle football top, for Christ's sake. Have a pop at him. You know,
Team that didn't let me down this weekend.
Oh, oh, that hurts. That hurts. Oh, before I forget, there is one more game we do have to look forward to next week because the under 18s are back. So I believe it is. I've forgotten what day it is. I want to say it's Sunday. Scarlets hosting RGC under 18s at Church Bank. So keep your eye out on the Scarlets Academy Twitter, Facebook, whatever one you follow them on for information. Again, support the boys. I think it's £3 a ticket. That's what it normally is. See the stars of tomorrow. And on that note, Global Game Line. Nice chatting with you. We'll do it all again next week if we can be asked, or at least if we put in a decent performance. Until then, bye, peoples.
Bye.
Happy New Year's.